Conflict is a swear word in my life. I hate it. I avoid it. And if I have to enter into conflict, I'm very accommodating. I bend over backwards to accommodate the other person, to have them win their point rather than stand my ground. Out of sheer desperation, I had to teach myself how to enter into conflict, which is the wonderful thing, is that you actually can. A wuss like myself can be taught to enter into conflict. What I've realized is that communication does not come naturally. Out of everything that you say, people only understand 50%, and they remember 10%, which is a horrible statistic. So how does this work with conflict? The principles I've taught myself to teach me how to enter into conflict and how to have conflict are the following. First of all, I determine the quality of the relationship. If this relationship is an important one, I have no choice but to enter into the conflict. I'm not going to scream at a lady at the counter because she did something wrong. I'm going to ignore it and I'm going to accommodate her because the relationship isn't an important one. But my relationship with my boss or my team, and most importantly my wife, those are important relationships. And I will definitely enter into conflict because the relationship asks for it. The quality and the importance of the relationship in my life, first of all, asks that I enter into conflict, that I maintain that relationship and grow it. And let's be honest, relationships do not grow if there isn't conflict. Now I have to qualify this. I'm not talking about screaming and shouting and cussing and calling each other names. I will freeze in a conflict like that, and I will definitely not have conflict like that. So conflict has rules. I own my feelings. It's not my wife that makes me feel something. I choose to feel. It's my feeling. It's not a feeling that she dumps on me. I chose to feel out of an action. So I own my feelings and I speak from that side. No screaming, no cussing, just a normal conversation. A mentor of mine has taught me the value of the 3 Ps. Personal, preference, principle. So whenever I find myself in a situation where I have a negative feeling about something that happened, or I can see a potential conflict arising, I ask myself, can I categorize this scenario within one of these 3? Is it personal? Is it the principle? Or is it the preference? If it's personal, it's my issue. I don't like the tone that this person took. I don't like this, I don't like that. So it's a personal issue. I have to work at it, I have to change it, I have to manage my thoughts about it, or do what I need to do to, put it bluntly, get over myself. So if it's personal, I don't necessarily enter into the conflict. If it's perspective, I would rather ask a few questions. Is this what you meant? Do I understand you correctly? I try to find, let's call it the common ground. I try to find a mutual understanding. Stephen Covey talks about putting yourself in the other person's shoes, seeking first to understand. And I think when it comes to perspective, it is important to first seek to understand. Am I seeing what you see? Is my perspective the same as yours? And once again, if you cleared up the perspective, it's possibly not necessary to enter into conflict. The one where you have to enter into conflict is principle. If the conflict is about a principle of a matter, you have no option but to enter the conflict. See, principles are important. They largely govern our lives. And principles have the status that needs us to address them. So entering into a situation where you have to address the principle of the matter, you do not have an option but to enter into the conflict. Here we can possibly argue to say that the relationship is not necessarily here your guiding factor. That you even have to enter into a conflict when the principle of the matter is between you and someone who's not that important to your personal life. It's the principle that's important. And because of the principle, you enter into the conflict. See, we're funny people. We judge ourselves on our intentions, and we judge other people on their behavior. And this discrepancy always leads to a place where we excuse ourselves and we jump the gun, entering into conflict with somebody else. Conflict isn't easy. It isn't fun. But conflict done well, where both parties understand that you're fighting for the relationship when you talk about a husband and a wife, or both parties understand that you're addressing the principle, that conflict has purpose. That conflict will grow the relationship, and that conflict will improve your circumstances, whatever they may be. May you not shy away from the conflict in your life. May you address them. But may you be wise, and also maybe apply the 3P principle in your life. Personal, perspective, or principle.